Hello and welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is Jason Kmet, and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. It's back to civilization, back to electricity. That's kind of nice. But yeah, I can't complain. It was a good trip overall. So I am. It's just like any other holiday. It's good to do it, but then it's also nice to come home again.
But unfortunately, I don't think I'll hear any birds chirping in the background this episode.
Yeah. No, definitely not. I'm back in the pod cave as usual. By the way, the pod cave is being renovated right now. So it's actually going to look like something half decent, I think, by the time at the end of August. So we'll see. But how's your week been?
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, I've been off work, so it's been a little bit of a staycation. I've been doing a lot of stuff with my kids. We went to Callaway Park yesterday, picnic at Fish Creek last night, and then took them to the Telespark today. So lots of outings, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. Yeah, let's get going with the podcast today. As mentioned in Calgary Herald, Calgary Sun, I had a bit of a chuckle today when I saw the paper.
Yeah, you got to mention in the article of Todd Salehoff about the Calgary Wild game, which I know this episode is going to talk a lot about. But if you are a new listener, our podcast focuses on soccer in Calgary at all levels, including the amateur, post-secondary, and professional teams. We talk a lot about Cavalry FC and the Calgary Wild, but we don't shy away from any other topics related to soccer in Calgary.
In this episode, our topics will include reviewing the Calgary Wild's match in the Canadian W Championship, where they played CS Mont Royal Outremont. We'll preview the Wild's match against the Vancouver Rise on Saturday. We'll also preview Cavalry FC. They're playing Supra on Saturday. And we have a couple other bits of information about the APL and a couple other things. Unfortunately, no interview this week. We should be getting back to that again next week. Just with the holidays, didn't quite have the time to put it all together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. Why don't we kick things off, Jason, with a review of the Wild's 4-0 win over CS Mont Royal Outremont.
Hi, this is Maya Jones. This is the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So on Wednesday evening, there were a few firsts for the Calgary Wild, I guess. They played their first ever non-NSL match. It was in the brand new W Canadian Championship. It was another first that they played at Spruce Meadows. That was something different. And the other first was it was their first victory in 2026.
Yes, it was 293 days after their last win, Jason.
Yes, and they won 4-0 against CS Mont Royal Outremont and played pretty well overall. I was at the match at Spruce Meadows, and I think it was a pretty good result for the Wild. It started out a little bit more even, but I think as time went on, they started to assert a bit of dominance and the fact that they were professionals against some semi-pros. Pretty sparsely attended, though.
Yeah, I think you mentioned there was around 1,100 people, and you showed me a picture of the stands while the game was ongoing, and definitely not that many people were out at this game, and probably lots of different reasons for that. But it was interesting to watch, Jason, because for the first time in a very long time, Wild were the better team, right? Like, we've gotten used to seeing this team kind of pegged back and defending and trying not to concede. And it was nice to watch them kind of be dominant for once and to run up the score against a team that they were clearly better than. We speculated in our last episode that the Wild were definitely not guaranteed to win this game just because they were coming in as the professionals and they were playing a team of amateurs or semi-pros. But yeah, it did take until the 30th minute for the Wild to break the deadlock thanks to a deflected shot from Maya Jones. I'm not sure if she was credited with this or if it went down as an own goal, but that kind of opened the floodgates. And shortly thereafter, Maya Jones, I think at the beginning of the second half, scored a header from a Grace Storty cross. Cool to see that link up from the former Memphis Tigers teammates. And then 2 more goals from the Wild after that. Third goal of the night was also from a cross, this time a corner that Taylor Otto was able to bundle home from the goal line for her first goal in her second game for the Wild. And then Sarita Thurton, great to see her get on the score sheet as well, Jason, in the 85th minute.
Yeah, as the game went on longer and longer, it just seemed like the Wild started to play with a little bit more freedom. There were a couple plays earlier on where there was, I wouldn't say bad defensive miscues, but just things where, if they were playing a pro team, like an NSL team would have totally taken advantage of that situation and probably scored, but they were able to recover. And then the other thing was too, is that they're skilled players, like most notably Maya Jones and Sarita Thurton both had good games. And you could just see out there, like their level of quality when playing a bunch of semi-pros. Like they looked like professionals playing against semi-pros.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to really say it. That's what they looked like out there.
Maya Jones in particular, she was dancing rings around the Montreal defenders in some parts of this game. And yeah, did you find out, was that first goal of the match credited to her? Like, did she get a brace in this one, or did she only get credited with her goal from the Storty cross?
So the answer is, I think so. And here's the thing, Scott. I found out during the match that there was no official scorekeeper for this match.
Oh, okay. All right.
People were saying, well, this tournament has all been put together very quickly. Yes, it has. It was put together very quickly. And for most Wild matches, it's an NSL game. So the NSL makes sure that there's an official scorekeeper. But apparently, since only one NSL team was playing in this, the NSL was not obliged to make sure they had an official scorekeeper. So apparently there wasn't an official scorekeeper. I don't know exactly what happened per se, but yeah, just kind of a weird little hiccup in the match. So I still haven't seen a detailed box score or anything like that. I was actually looking because I wanted to make sure I knew who all the subs were in the match. But yeah, no, it was kind of odd that's the case.
Right. Well, interesting. But anyway, yeah, I mean, great job to the Wild for finally breaking that losing streak and that winless run that had stretched way back to middle of October 2025. Actually, I was thinking, Jason, that game must have been the one that we were at, the last game of the 2025 season. I think it was against Vancouver they won.
Yeah, I think it was against Vancouver, but I remember checking, and it was the last game of the season because I believe they won their last 2 games of the season last year.
Yeah, I think they won 3 of their last 4.
Yeah, that could be right.
Obviously, a different turn of events lately, but good to see them break this drought, and hopefully they can use it to propel themselves forward, right? Like we've talked about, they have 4 new players on the roster. They have a new coach or a new interim coach at the moment, with their new head coach away for personal reasons. But between those 2 factors and the fact that they finally got that bad run of form off their back, it was against amateur opposition, but this puts them in the semifinals. So with the regular season kind of a dud, maybe this tournament can really give fans something to forward to, and maybe it's something the Wild can even prioritize moving forward.
I kind of got the impression that they are going to make a bit of a concerted effort to push forward in this. By the way, if anyone's wondering, the next round, the semifinal round, we don't know when those matches are going to be, and we don't know what the format is. Like, it's not just a bracket where you could say that the Wild are going to face the winner of this match. None of that's been decided yet, apparently. And we know that the final first round match doesn't happen until like beginning of October. So it's entirely possible that the semifinals might not even be played this year.
That is so strange. I don't know what to say to that. That feels weird. I know you mentioned this tournament has been put together really quickly, but it feels very fly by night.
So it is right here on the Canadian Soccer website that the draw for the semifinal and the final will be conducted in early 2027. And that draw will determine the matchups for the semifinal and final. So semifinal will not happen until next year. So this is it. This is our Canadian Championship dose for 2026, which is unfortunate because it would have been really nice for this team to have to look forward to that semifinal game during this kind of really bad season.
Yeah. And I guess let's talk more about that really bad season, because that is continuing this weekend. The Wild will be traveling west to face Vancouver Rise, the team that is in 5th place in the NSL standings, team that they enjoyed some success against last year, but in their only meeting in 2026, they did lose 4-2 to Vancouver. So curious to see how the Wild fare. Obviously, as mentioned, they have some new players. I assume Corey Babington will remain the coach for this one. But coming off of their first win in 293 days, I'm curious to see what Wild team shows up at Swangard Stadium on Saturday afternoon.
I think inevitably after playing a game like that, it has to make you feel a little bit better about things. So, of course, they end up having a poor result in this one. They could be just back down in the doldrums, but they have something to build on, which they haven't had all year long. So I think that's good. But they're going to be missing players. Maggie Doherty Howard did not play in the Can Champ match, and she is listed as injured for the next match, along with Farkuna Mutaj, Ali Hess, and Anderson Williams. Jackie Sawicki came on as a substitute in the Can Champ match. She played it maybe half an hour. So some players kind of back a little bit, but they're still missing players. And arguably missing Maggie Doherty Howard is huge for them because, as we talked about before, most of the time they don't do well on the pitch without her.
No, I think their combined score in the 3 games that she didn't play this year were 14-0, right? The 6-0 and 2-4-0 games. So without Maggie Doherty Howard, they just are not the same team. And they're also without Grace Storty, right? She's still suspended due to that unfair red card in their last game. So that's a big loss as well. Although I think all of their new signings are defensively oriented. So I do think they'll at least have someone to deputize at right back this match.
On the topic of the new players, I thought I would just briefly mention a couple of them that I saw at the match. Hannah Boughton was playing in the Can Champ match. So she's been with the club now, I think 3 matches now.
Yeah.
Taylor Otto played. She was playing center back. She scored the goal. So I think, that's obviously positive. And Madison Pogarch started the match as well. And I can see her being a good player. She looks like an experienced player out there. How does that sound? I'm not sure how that comes across exactly, but you could just tell she's played pro games before. Mm-hmm. But she's 28 years old. She's maybe one of the older players on the team. But I think there's a lot of reason to think she could be a veteran steadying influence on this team, which is really what they need at the back, in addition to what they already have with Michaela Moore. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric Hobza. Welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
Okay, let's talk about Calgary FC. They play this weekend in Montreal, I guess Laval technically. They'll be playing Supra Saturday at 6 p.m. Stade Boreal. Quick turnaround from the last time they played them. It's only been, less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, they played Supra at Spruce Meadows on a Tuesday evening. I think it was the last Tuesday in July or something like that. So not even 2 weeks ago. That one came down to, as we talked about extensively, a stoppage time winner from Amir Didic and then some last minute heroics from Joseph Holiday. So that was a very close game, but it was a game where Cavalry rested quite a number of their starters. So I imagine that they'll not do the same thing this time around, and we'll see a lot of the usual starting 11 see the pitch for the starting whistle on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, that Tuesday night game we were both at, and I was actually quite impressed by how Supra played. But overall, they haven't been that strong in the CPL this year. I think they're coming into this one tied for 5th place.
Yeah, they've got 17 points on 14 games. So yeah, Supra is kind of they're in 5th place. They've got 2 games in hand against the Wanderers, who have the same amount of points, but they're only 4 points back from Ottawa, who are in 4th. So their season is far from over at this point. They definitely have an opportunity to still work their way into the playoffs. And the last time that Cavalry played Supra in Montreal, really close match, right? So I fully expect it. It should be a good one, right?
Yeah, that was a 1-0 win, and I think that goal also came quite late in the game. So both times Supra played Cavalry, they could have easily claimed a couple of draws against them. But every time I watch Supra, they seem to play well, Jason. So I'm always a bit surprised to see them down in the lower half of the table, but they are the expansion club and they are doing the Athletic Bilbao thing where they're only playing players from Quebec. So obviously that limits their talent pool to choose from. But, the players you'd expect to be good for Supra have been. I think Sean Rea has looked really good every time I've seen him, and David Chouanier as well. I think he's their team captain. So, and then of course, Loic Quemi, their striker. He looks like a great CPL caliber striker. Hey, every time I see him play, he seems to get a goal. So Cavalry will have their work cut out for them for sure, but I think they're going to go into this one hoping to claim the full 3 points again.
And as far as injuries, the press conference for this match is going to be held on Friday after this episode will be released. So we don't have updates about what's up with Goten Natigny and Bradley Camden-Fawo. I do think that Michael Baldissimo's injury is probably going to continue to keep him out of the lineup. I don't know the severity of it, but I feel somewhat confident he's not going to be in the lineup this weekend.
And that injury was sustained in that game against Supra just over a week ago. But Kobza will be back.
Well, Kobza was back last game. I thought he was supposed to be out for a 2-game suspension, but he played last week.
No, because was it a double yellow? It wasn't a straight red. So 1 game.
Well, on the website, on the CPL website, it said that it was a 2-game suspension. So I don't know what happened, what changed.
Who will play? Oh, Harry Payton, maybe next one.
Harry Payton, yeah.
Hi, this is Anson Minty, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Jason. So one of the last times we talk about the APL this summer, but there is still an important matchup in the men's division that will be happening in Red Deer Friday evening. BTB will be taking on Callies United. 5:15. This is for all the marbles, right? If BTB wins, then they will claim the 2026 APL title. But if they draw or lose, that honor will be going back to Calgary Blizzard.
Yeah, huge match. And I think BTB has to be the heavy favorite. Callies has had a pretty rough season, so that will be the decider. And then at 7:30, the women's match will happen. But yeah, the women's match won't really have any implications on the standings. So that will finally be it for APL. It seems like the end of it is kind of dragged out here a little bit because of some of these postponements and stuff. But this will wrap it up.
Yeah, and we were able to confirm that Wild U23s who won the women's division will not be eligible for the Can Champ in 2027. That means that honor will instead go to second place, which is going to be Foothills.
But, Scott, here's the interesting bit of information. We verified Foothills as second place, and it seems safe to assume Foothills will be in the women's Can Champ next year. But Canada Soccer has not decided, or if they've decided, they haven't announced how many teams per league are going to qualify. So it's possible that they may take 2 Alberta teams for next year's Can Champ, and that would mean the Blizzard is the third place team.
Okay. All right. Do you think they do that, though, because I could see them wanting to get to 16 teams, but if you have 2 teams from each League One, or I guess Premier League, Provincial Premier League, would that get you to 16 if you add the 6 in the NSL?
The reason I say that is when I asked for a response from Alberta Soccer, that was the response they gave. They said Foothills is second place, but the number of teams aren't set. So it is possible that more than one team from Alberta could qualify. So they mentioned it, so it must be something that at least is possible.
All right.
Hi guys, this is Noah Herdlicka, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So to wrap things up, just a couple other miscellaneous notes here about Calgary Soccer. Calgarian Sebastian Zitkowski is continuing his career in Poland for another year. I think this will be his 3rd season there. So, and he's back with the same team as last year.
Yeah, they are called MKS Sarny Polaniec, and they play in, is it the 4th division, you said?
I think so.
Yeah.
They finished really strong last year, and I think last year was the best season they had, or the best half a season they had. So maybe they're going to do a bit of a promotion push this year. But anyway, Sebastian Zitkowski is back with them, and their first match this season, he got a goal and an assist. So not a bad way to start the season.
We wanted to finish this week's episode, Jason, just by quickly talking about that new mini pitch that is coming to Calgary. I wrote an article about it for the Herald a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it on the podcast. At the time, we didn't know where this field was going to be built or when it was going to be built. We just knew that it was being funded by federal dollars. They've turned it around quite quickly. I think this field is going to be located, according to Parks Foundation Calgary, on the west end of Calgary's downtown and taking over what is currently a surface parking lot just off 8th Street.
I'm very impressed by all this, Scott. This is great. When I read the information that, was released in your article and stuff, I thought it was going to take them a long time to figure out where they were going to build this, and having a long time before it actually ever happened. But hey, kudos. They've got a location figured out. I'm guessing that, considering that land is already owned by the city, doesn't really need to be serviced. It's already a parking lot. They can probably put this together, reasonably quickly.
Well, I'm wondering if they need to get council's approval through a rezoning application. I would assume that council would give this the green light because they're very pro-recreation, or they say to be. But yeah, I mean, quite quickly, they've come up with the location. It's very central. It's in the downtown. And, while they stress that renderings can change, the image that they have created makes this look really cool, right? It looks like a little five-a-side pitch. I'm sure it'll be artificial turf, but they're envisioning it with some trees surrounding it and some benches off to the side and even a little food kiosk next to it. I hope it's just a public amenity, which I would assume it is if Parks Foundation Calgary is leading this, and just a place where you could show up and play and maybe do some drop-in soccer or some pickup. But it looks small. It looks like I said, a 3v3 or maybe a 4v4 pitch. But I love it. I mean, I used to go to a field just like this when I lived in Germany briefly, and there were always people there, and you could usually cobble together a game. So excited to see this come to fruition. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. And if anyone wants to see these renderings, you could probably look them up on the Parks Foundation Calgary social media accounts, or you could Google Kickstart Commons, which is what they're calling it.
I'll include some links as well. But one thing I think with this setup is it appears like it's definitely going to be too small for like a 7v7 setup. So I don't think there's really anything set up in a sense that like a five-a-side league or five-a-side organized thing. So it just leads me to think that even though it is maybe a little bit smaller than maybe we had originally thought it was going to be, I think that also lends it to the less likely it's going to be an organized setup.
Yeah, and I know Parks Foundation Calgary, and I can talk about some of their other projects that they've done, and none of it is like pay to access, right? So like this is, in my opinion, this is going to be just a park that you can go to, and yeah, it's a soccer field, so you can bring a ball and some friends and get a game going. But like if you think about, Jason, I think it's called Flyover Park, and they took the 4th Avenue flyover, and underneath it they added a bunch of park amenities and turned it from a kind of sketchy area into a more inviting public space underneath, ironically, an overpass. And then they are actually just opening this summer Canada's first dementia inclusive park, which is like, it's out in Dover, and it was designed with the elderly in mind and people who have dementia or Alzheimer's. So Parks Foundation Calgary, cool organization. They're a civic partner. And yeah, I really, as I mentioned, I really hope this field can come together quickly because I would love to play there.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the YYC Soccer Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so new episodes are waiting for you as soon as they're released. Visit yycsoccer.com for our complete archive and links to purchase Scott's book, Here Come the Cavalry, about the history of professional soccer in Calgary. We'd love your feedback. Leave us a question on the website. Connect with us on X, Instagram, or Blue Sky at YYC Soccer 403. If you have a moment, please leave us a review. It helps with the algorithm and helps other soccer fans discover the show. We'll be back soon with more stories from Calgary's soccer community. Until next time, keep supporting local soccer, and we'll see you at the match.